The South Bronx, the borough that gave birth to hip-hop.
There's a militarized police department that is ready to attack the people. Young people have taken the streets, they've shut down the highway.
There's an understanding that when the planet wins, the people win too.
Don't stop. You don't stop. You don't stop.
Amor, justicia, hip hop, revoluciones.
Peace, this is G1 for And You Don't Stop Telesud English. We're in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States. Behind me, the Cook County Courts Administrative Building, where every day, hundreds of young people are processed, dealing with the trials and tribulations of an often unjust criminal justice system. Today, we follow the story of 17-year-old Nico Gaete, wrongfully arrested and imprisoned, accused of a crime he didn't commit. A student at a community high school just a few blocks away from these courts in the Cook County Jail, Nico's case received a lot of support from family and community.
I wake up, I think it was on Wednesday, my mom wakes me up, like, she tells me 2 detectives went to the school trying to talk to me.
There was 3 police officers that came to the school on Tuesday asking for him, right? And they were actually trying to tell us to keep it hush-hush. And then they had left because Nico was absent that day. So then as soon as they left, I couldn't keep it hush-hush. I really didn't understand that, As an associate principal, you have to put yourself in the shoes of a parent sometimes. And if I were a parent, I want to know what's going on right away, And that's why I made the decision of giving them a call as soon as possible.
So I go to work later that day. I come home around 10. My mom's like, let's go to the police station, see what this is about, the whole situation. We get there and the police are talking about they don't know what the case is about because I'm a minor and the detectives can't tell them. So they would have to take me to another building, 51st and Wentworth. So we go to 51st and Wentworth and the police are telling me I'm involved in a shooting. I'm a shooting what? Like, damn, you feel me? That hit me like, I don't know how somebody was trying to hit me with a shooting. I'm like, first of all, how did I get involved in this, you feel me, if I had nothing to do with it? So they tell me somebody ID'd me on Facebook, my profile picture.
One of the defining characteristics of Chicago crime investigations has become the use of so-called predictive policing, where hundreds of young people are caught up in waves of investigations based on computer algorithms and social media monitoring. This is a trend that's going down not only here in Chicago, but throughout other cities in the United States. Gang raids in New York, Los Angeles, where hundreds of people are getting rounded up, overcharged, end up taking plea deals in order to avoid jail time, and caught up in the criminal justice system for crimes they didn't commit.
Nico's picture was like when he was 13 years old, So like for somebody to identify him through a Facebook picture when it's like, 3 or 4 years ago, it's a huge difference, bro. I don't know, it just seemed really, really weird from the get-go. Since the moment they walked in here and they said to keep everything hush-hush, it just doesn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me in the moment they walked in here, and especially when they're saying about Facebook, it's like, how many other ways are you gonna criminalize our youth?
This year is the first year I've had Nico in my class. From what I've seen of him, he's a very reflective individual. He really takes the time to think thoroughly about what he's gonna say. While he doesn't always want to express it in writing, he is definitely one of the more vocal students that will advocate for fairness and for equity in the classroom.
Nico has never been in a fight in school. He's not a violent person. On the contrary, when I have a conversation with Nico, it's like inner peace, the spirituality piece. And it's nothing related to anything like violence or anything like that.
Nico is nothing like what they described him. In the time that I've known him, I would never imagine Nico to ever hold a gun, to ever shoot or harm another person. He has never demonstrated that attitude or that behavior in the classroom, outside of the classroom. Nico is not like that, so I took it as a political attack on our community. To me, I chose to talk about the school-to-prison pipeline and prison industrial complex because students attend school less than a mile away from the largest single-site jail in the United States. I think it's critical for students who attend this school to talk about the prison industrial complex and the school-to-prison pipeline. We can have these conversations in the classroom by incorporating modeling data, representing data, looking at statistics, comparing them, drawing conclusions, and really being analytical about what these statistics and numbers represent within our community. What are the stories behind these numbers? Why is it that certain communities are more impacted by the juvenile justice system? Why is it that more young people are so wrongfully accused of crimes that they don't commit?
They separate you based off gangs. You know what I'm saying? So when you first process, you go in through intake, and that's like the first floor of it. And then you're there for a couple of days. But in my situation, I was there for a couple of days, and two men came up to me and they asked me like what gang was I in. Like they sat me down and they were writing stuff, and I told them I wasn't really in no gang. I told them that, you know what I'm saying, I grew up with Kings, I went to school with 2-6, and I go to school with these now, you feel me? So I don't really have no problems with nobody. So I told them you can put me anywhere, you feel me? I'm not really worried about it.
I know how it feels like to be in prison, right? I know how it feels like to be, it's like being a slave, you know, captured in there and not being able to do anything. And it was just like, I hope they didn't break his spirit.
My mom, she was telling me she was waking up from 5 a.m. every morning, couldn't go to sleep, couldn't eat, you know what I'm saying, trying to really find out how to get me out of there. She was researching, calling lawyers, calling people, trying to just get as much information as possible, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate her for that, you know what I'm saying? I feel like this had to happen too, you feel me? Because I took my mother for granted for a lot of things she did for me. You know what I'm saying? So this showed me how, like, the love that she really does have for me. So I love her for that and I appreciate her for that.
I remember calling, asking about him. They couldn't pronounce her last name, Gaete, and they're like, yeah, whatever. And I said, Gaete is his name. My son's name is Tomas Gaete, not whatever. You know, it's just those little things like that when you're calling. You're scared, you don't know what's going on with your child, and they're so dismissive of you. It's like our babies don't mean anything. If you're poor, if you're a man of color, this justice system is a justice system of class, right? Because even the way that they've set it up for bond, if you're in federal court, it's real easy to put a lien on your house or to put a lien on your stocks and bonds. At Cook County Court, cash.
On Saturday, later that weekend, I had bond court. And then bond court, that's where I got to hear the whole situation, you feel me? And then my lawyer was telling the judge like what I'm involved in the community and what I be doing in my interest, and they see that it's like, it doesn't align with that other stuff, you feel me? So the judge was like, all right, I'll take that in consideration, and then she hits me with a $750,000 bond.
At that time, actually, you know, we got out of court and it was really emotional because it was like, we really understood how much it was, how much money they were asking for, you know, 75 G's, and it was just like, that's impossible. You know, we're a low-income community, you know. It was like, how are we gonna put this together, you know?
I felt support from people that have means to donate, like a chunk, 5,000 at once, but also people that are not there. I felt their support and are organizing to pass the hat, to raise money around their friends. I feel I'm very humbled and overwhelmed by love.
I was going through a lot of shit, you feel me? I was feeling like a lot of emotions all just in me, you feel me? And I couldn't really let them out, so I couldn't really sleep, you feel me? Like, I was crying a little bit, you feel me? That's hitting me in my head, like, all right, so I started writing, I started trying to get my mind off things. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, a week later, Friday, I had my bond to try to get it reduced, and thank God he reduced it, you feel me, to 30,000. And I know all my people been fundraising, been giving my mom donations here and there. And I wanted to tell everybody that, like, I thank y'all, I love y'all, you feel me? Like, this means a lot. I didn't even know people cared about me this much.
Nico was blessed to receive the support of his community and family, but he also knows that behind these bars and inside these courts, many young people don't receive that support, whether it's because they're undocumented or because they're foster children. A lot of people falling into the cracks of this criminal injustice system.
Oh, 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 soy el hijo del padre Tonatiu, Tonan sin Cali del padre Tonatiu. Yo soy el hijo del padre Tonatiu, Tonan sin Cali del padre Tonatiu. Yo soy hermano del pueblo Olmeca, el Chichimeca, hermano del Mexicayo, del Mexicayo, del Mexicayo. un indio me guía a la libertad. Es Benito Juárez, el Zapata y el Cuauhtémoc. Es el Cuauhtémoc sin el gran Cuauhtémoc. Y son mis hermanos del Valle de Anahuac. Oh, oh, oh.
All I want to say is, Nicos gonna be set free. I'm glad he's home. And it's really good to see him, and it's really good to see him, like, he's in a good shape, It's like his spirit wasn't broken, and because I knew he's strong,
Can we also send love to all the other brothers that are locked up? That's been my son's main concern, that they have nobody. He knows he was fortunate to have everybody, but let's not forget the many young brothers and sisters, especially the ones in foster care. They have nobody to come out and support them. Let's not forget. And I think maybe this experience happened to us because we do have a community, but to also shed light and bring justice to all those that don't.
Somos la comunidad bajas, que los dicen así, pero no somos bajos, tenemos la conciencia limpia y lucharemos por todas las causas injustas, como la que está pasando mi nieto. ¡Venceremos! ¡Venceremos!